Total Recall is, like I said a few weeks ago when we talked about this a little bit as an upcoming movie. It is based on a Philip K. Dick short story called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. It is also a remake of the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. And it's the story of Doug Quaid, who is a menial worker, unsatisfied with his life. And he is suffering from dreams of a more exciting and somewhat troubled life that plague him during the day. In an effort to add something to his life, he goes to Recall to have some fake memories implanted. In the process of that, learns that he may be more than he thought himself to be. Gunplay ensues. That's the basic gist of this Total Recall. Now, in the opening of this film, they started off with a bit of text. After a bunch of wars, most of the world is now covered in these chemicals that makes it unlivable. So most of humanity has clustered itself into some areas where it's safe. One of them in Great Britain, where it seems like the richer folk live. And then you've got everybody else down in the colony of Australia. And they have managed to dig a tunnel from one end of the earth to the other that it's called the Fall, that these people in Australia take to get to Britain to work these jobs building battle droids and things of that sort. Let's start off talking about the story first. There are some differences between this film and the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, like I said. I don't know if we really want to talk about what a lot of those differences are, but one pretty highly publicized one is that there is no getting any ass to Mars. The only one getting shit to Mars right now is NASA and their rovers.
Woohoo.
Yeah, woohoo, by the way. Great job, guys. This film stays squarely on Earth. Did you think the story really worked? Did you feel like it was lacking? Did you like the changes that were made from the first one? Kind of what are your general impressions?
I personally like the fact that it took place on Earth. I like how they explained how basically the majority of 75 or 80% of the Earth is uninhabitable. I thought it was kind of an ingenious way of doing it. I kind of liked how they did that, personally.
I really like
the rest of it.
And I like how they retained what was important about the original, which is the struggle between, the oppressor and the lower class, which was a big part of the story in the original.
The only other thing I wanted to ask about it, and this is not spoiling anything as well, the first film ended with an ending that really left you wondering, was it a dream? Mm-hmm. Was it real? This one didn't really feel like it had that sort of ending at all. It felt pretty definitive. Do you guys agree with me on that? And do you think that the original sort of ending, that ambiguous, Inception-y sort of ending, was better? Or did you like leaving the theater feeling like you knew how this ended and what the story was?
Well, be very careful because we don't want to spoil anything. But
right, you don't have to say how it ended.
Right.
But
I think it was very crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
It was not ambiguous at all. I agree with you. The original, because we just rewatched the original one.
Do you prefer that though, or do you like ambiguity?
No, I like the ambiguity. Yep. For this kind of movie, I prefer it.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. For this type of movie, I prefer the ambiguity also.
Mm-hmm.
I had a hard time caring either way because I wasn't invested in the characters that much. I didn't really care by the end of the movie whether it was real or not. I mean,
you just wanted to leave.
No, not like I just wanted out. I just didn't care. I wasn't invested in the characters enough to.
How many Facebook updates did you go through while you were watching this movie?
I turn my phone off during movies now. Thank you very much.
See, that's what happens when you give Scott some crap.
Well, but that leads us right in, though, to the acting part of it. Nobody would ever accuse Arnold Schwarzenegger of being a Shakespearean-level thespian. And really nobody, in my opinion, in that original Total Recall was displaying any sort of high acting chops. It felt very fun, but also really kind of campy. I thought in this one they went for a much more gritty, darker feel. Were there any characters that you especially, or in performances that you liked, and were there some that you just didn't care for at all?
Well, my favorite performance in this movie has by far be Kate Beckinsale. She.
Why do you keep calling her Beckinsdale?
Beckinsale.
Beckinsale.
There's no D.
There's no D.
All right, can we back it up then? Can I start?
Hell no. Let's just go.
As we all know, she's a beautiful woman, and she looks amazing in this film as well. But she has this pissed offness throughout this entire movie that I've never seen in another movie with her. that just really sold me on her. Like, she plays a good, she plays her character well. And I'm trying to see this without dancing around what's going on, but
No, it's in the trailer.
She is an intense.
Okay.
She is playing a very intense character in this
yes, very intense, very angry, which just makes her even more attractive for some reason. I enjoyed watching every scene that she was in, whether it be the way she delivered her lines or the way that the
She was
action
delivering
scenes.
the sleepwear that she was.
Yes, that too. That was very nice. Colin Farrell, who I'm actually not usually a big fan of, he really sold me on this as far as his believability. He did the whole, like, I don't know what's going on. Why do I know why is this stuff automatically happening? And the panic feeling that he had, I really bought him on that. I just didn't buy his emotions as far as, the love interest between one of the two girls.
Completely opposite. I thought Colin Farrell was boring.
Really?
Just bland. The guy's got charisma for days. I mean, he's a really charismatic guy, but it seems to me he's only charismatic in supporting roles, it seems like. Because, I mean, Fright Night, supporting role, he was fantastic. Just
awesome.
Just own that. Horrible
In
Bosses.
Bruges?
Yeah. I mean, anything he does, Horrible Bosses, he was great in supporting roles. But it seems like he gets a lead role like this, and he just bored the piss out of me. I prefer Schwarzenegger. I prefer the acting of Schwarzenegger.
And see, I could not disagree more.
Well, of course not.
And
I said it.
in my opinion, if you want to do a remake and you want to do it well, apparently you hire Colin Farrell. I thought the guy was actually fantastic. I thought every scene he was in, he was pulling his weight, doing an amazing job of carrying that character forward. I believed him the entire time. There are some real moments where he asked a question, am I dreaming or is this real? And I bought it. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. Colin Farrell, I have yet to really be disappointed in a performance from him. And this is just another one that really impressed me. And I got to agree with Scotty. Kate Beckinsale is a force of nature in this film. And when she starts unleashing the violence, I was spellbound, and not because she's so pretty, but because she is such an ass kicker. I didn't see it coming, and I've seen, we've all seen Underworld. We've seen her shoot guns and do some kicks and whatnot. In this movie, she's taken it to a whole new level. The only performance I really was kind of left a little wanting by was Jennifer Biel.
Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel, she's fine, but she's really not given a lot to do, and she's really... I mean, all right. I wished her character would have been fleshed out more. Of the three leads, I definitely think two of them did more than enough to carry that third one. I really enjoyed the acting. I was blown away by Kate Beckinsale and Colin Farrell both.
You were blown away by Colin Farrell?
I liked him. I
did
really,
too.
especially in the scene where you see him, a recording of him, and he looks different and he's kind of acting different. He seemed like a different person. And I like that when an actor can actually play two different versions of himself and each of them be very different.
Brian,
I liked him.
Did you like Colin Farrell?
I wasn't
better.
blown away. I wasn't blown away by him. I thought he was adequate. There were some times where he was believable, but there was one point in the movie where he's already got all this evidence going for him. He's going from one place to the other. He's finding more and more clues. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, he's finally kind of buying into what he's supposed to be doing and who he really is. And then he just kind of, it's like he takes 2 or 3 steps back and kind of forgets. And, it's just kind of like, wait a minute. You're starting to second guess everything all over again. It's just, to me, it kind of took me out of it a little bit. But for me, by far, the worst performance was Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, I agree.
He was way over the top.
I would like to have seen more of Bill Nighy. Like,
Yeah.
his character was...
He gets about as much screen time as Quado did in the first film.
Yeah.
Right.
But with a film like this, though, a sci-fi extravaganza, really the actors are only half of it. You've also got your special effects, all the production that goes into it, the directing, the stunts, the whole look and feel of it. How do you guys feel like this matched up, not just against the first one, but just every other sci-fi film that's out there these days? Did you like the look of it? Did you think the directing was quality, stunts, production in general?
The action, effects, stunts, everything clicked and worked. A lot of the chases were exciting. There's a chase with Colin Farrell where he's going through, I don't know if it's rooftops or cityscapes or however you want to phrase it, but basically houses that are outside. And I think that was a really exciting chase. But outside of that, everything just felt bland. I thought the special effects were great. The cityscapes were great. Everything looked great. But the whole movie just felt so boring. Just so boring. Seriously.
Yeah,
It had a lack of color, I think is
Sorry,
what
this movie should have been a hell of a ride, and it felt like it was just a very dystopian future, and it was very, I don't know, chrome. I don't know why. The word chrome keeps coming in my head. It just feels like a very gray movie. It feels very bland.
See, to me, it felt like Blade Runner, but somebody turned on the lights.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
It took the
But
fun out of it.
it's a fucking post-apocalyptic kind of a story. How many colors are you expecting in these kinds of dingy futures where all of humanity is crammed into these, tiny areas where instead of being able to build outward, they kind of have to now go upward.
I'm not talking of gray in terms of color. They're talking about color. I'm saying it's gray in terms of the film. The film is very bland. It's boring. It's not. They have everything going for it, and I felt like it was not riveting, except for that one chase. I was not enthralled once. I was bored most of the movie, and none of it's bad. I mean, except when Kate Beckinsale, when she was on the screen, the movie lit up because it's the only time the movie's any fun. I think I still say Colin Farrell was okay, but he was not exciting. He was not. I was not looking forward to seeing him. I was just like, when's Kate Beckinsale coming back? And not because she's hot, just because she's the only interesting thing in this movie. Jessica Biel is boring as hell. So seeing this movie, when I say gray, I really mean it's just an average film. Very, very average.
I could not disagree more. I really loved the grayness of the tone of the cityscapes and of the environment and of the film. When it comes to a post-apocalyptic sort of a movie, one that's set in this kind of environment, I like that look. And for me, that really worked. I thought the way that they created these cities that were just kind of built layer on top of layer on top of layer worked so well for me. I thoroughly enjoyed the look of it. It felt like it really started to slow down a bit towards the ending of it. But as far as production goes, as far as the look of it and the directing and the choreography of the fights, thoroughly entertained. I really thought they did a fantastic job. By the time it was done, I would have happily sat down and watched it again. I think if I'm going to give it a 1 out of $10 rating, easily 8.5. Easily. Wow. I could even maybe go a 9 if with Kate Beckinsale herself. Just, again, a force of nature. She is relentless in this film. Relentless.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. For me, this was kind of a classic example of don't show me too much in the trailer. This to me was a classic example of what we talk about. You see basically the whole movie in the trailer. And again, I don't know, maybe some of this is because I know the basic plot, but it just felt like so many scenes were ruined. I went in with pretty low expectations, and it lived up to my expectations. Didn't feel like there was any drama. I thought the scenery and the set design was fantastic, but that combined with the hotness of Kate Beckinsale, it just wasn't enough for me to give it a good score. I'd give it a $4 out of 10.
Shit, I didn't expect it that low.
I feel pretty much the same way. I went in with pretty low expectations, but it came out slightly higher than what I had expected to see. The movie was just okay, in my opinion. It not a whole lot that made me wow, except for Kate Beckinsale's performance. I did like some of the choreography, some of the look, but it just needed to be a little bit more crisp, in my opinion. The story seemed a little muddy at the end. I was still kind of confused as to what the protagonist was going for. And maybe we can talk about that after the off air. But this movie is not one I would recommend to run out, but definitely check out later. I actually give it a 5 out of $10.
I love the production values, the effects. There's like 2 action scenes that I thought were pretty exciting. And Kate Beckinsale is probably one of my favorite villains this year, honestly. I mean, she was that good. But Colin Farrell, Jessica Biel bored the shit out of me. The movie bored the shit out of me. I was not riveted, not excited. We watched the original this weekend, and it's cheesy. It's poorly acted. The direction is kind of funny. The special effects are so outdated, and it's so much more fun than this movie. Mm-hmm. So if $10 is the full price of admission, I'd give it $5.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Fuck you guys.